Operation Mockingbird was a large-scale program of the CIA that began in the early years of the Cold War and attempted to manipulate domestic American news media organizations for propaganda purposes. This consisted of the intel agency feeding manufactured stories to the media with their cooperation in order to mold the news cycle to achieve their desired outcomes both domestically and internationally in order to gain the people's consent for whatever they're doing today. Many people maintain that Operation Mockingbird never ended, and in fact in recent years has expanded beyond just the mainstream media, but also includes a wide network of alternative media, including social media influencers and small independent broadcasters even. We certainly see that on platforms like X, for example, where there is a lot of cheerleading going on and very little critical thought being encouraged by many of these influencer accounts. You may see a lot of copy and pasted posts, virtually word for word, promoted by several accounts at the same time, certain buzzwords being repeated time and time again. And to give you a specific example of what that looks like, recall the celebrity social media campaign to mock quote-unquote anti-vaxxers, and then look at the coordinated response between the mainstream media and some of the largest social media influencer accounts, even in the conservative space, to those opposing World War III, attacking them in a similar manner. But nonetheless, the mainstream media appears to still be the main culprit. Deep state criminal James Comey ordered the FBI to leak classified info to the New York Times, assisted the outlet in creating news to frame Trump as a Russian asset. The article says internal FBI memos delivered to Congress this week by the Bureau Director Kash Patel exposed former FBI Director James Comey's process of sharing classified intelligence with media outlets such as the New York Times. Journalists John Solomon and Jerry Dunleavy published an article on Tuesday detailing the memos, explaining Comey used a conduit to leak secret information to the media in order to shape the phony Trump-Russia collusion narrative. Newly declassified documents show that Comey ordered the FBI to assist the New York Times in writing articles. Author and podcaster John Herold wrote on X, newly declassified documents show that Comey ordered the FBI to assist the New York Times in the writing of one of their articles. As part of the FBI's assistance, FBI officials Peter Strzok and Lisa Page were interviewed by the New York Times. We'll just bring up that tweet for you from John Herold, and you can see there from the declassified documents highlighted was told to assist the New York Times with the April 2017 article. As part of the FBI's assistance, FBI officials Peter Strzok and Lisa Page were interviewed by the New York Times. Joining Hannity on Fox News, Solomon summed up his article by telling viewers Comey intentionally avoided using the FBI press office and leaked info to the press in order to sully Donald Trump's reputation. Columbia University law professor Daniel Richman told the FBI he was often contacted by Comey, who instructed him to pass along classified information to Times reporter Michael Schmidt. When Fox anchor Sean Hannity asked if he believes there could be legal consequences for Comey regarding the media collusion, Solomon said that Attorney General Pam Bondi may soon have the ex-FBI director and other hauled before the grand jury. He also noted the statute of limitations for sharing classified information is typically 5 years, but that it's extended to 10 years if the culprit did so willing and knowing, which clearly describes Comey's actions. Let's take a listen to some of this clip.
Well, what you find out is that James Comey decided not to work through the FBI press office when he wanted to change the narrative in Washington, burnish his reputation against attacks from Democrats, and try to sully Donald Trump's reputation. If you remember, Democrats were mad that James Comey let out of the bag just before the election that there might be some new evidence in the Hillary Clinton email scandal. Hillary blamed Comey for throwing the election. She blamed the Russians for throwing the election. She blamed everybody but herself for throwing the election for her. But Comey was trying to rehabilitate that. And so he had an intermediary, a Columbia law professor by the name of Daniel Richman, who the FBI confirmed and interviewed. And Richman said, yes, I used my relationship with a New York Times reporter named Michael Schmidt. He's one of the authors of the Pulitzer Prize winning package that President Trump is now suing over. And my goal was to improve negative stories about James Comey and to set a narrative, i.e., set the Russia collusion narrative. This guy worked around the official channels of the FBI press office. And at one point, the FBI noted, you met with James Comey. He gave you access to classified information. A short while later, you had a conversation with that New York Times reporter, and he ends up reporting something that appears to be classified. Did you do it? And he gives, I think, perhaps the most famous denial people will remember since Bill Clinton says it depends what the meaning of the word is when he tried to obfuscate whether he had an affair with Monica Lewinsky. He says, I can say, I don't think I confirmed the information. I can say with a discount that I didn't give him the classified information. With a discount means you got to give me some room. It's an extraordinary moment. The FBI clearly had strong suspicions that this was a potential backdoor for information, maybe classified information to get out to the media with James Comey's fingerprints on it. And they didn't go much further. They didn't put Comey before the grand jury, that we can tell. They didn't appear to put this gentleman, Daniel Richman, before the grand jury. And like Adam Schiff, as we told you last night, here they have an eyewitness whistleblower who said, I was in the room when he authorized leaks of intel. These end up being a dead end again. And it's another reminder of a dual system of justice that the Justice Department had the last 6 years. These are documents that were never given to Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan confirmed that to me today. And we're just learning 8 years later, because of what Kash Patel turned over, that the FBI had all the evidence of how the false narrative of Russia collusion was spread across this country to the detriment of voters, to the detriment of President Trump's first campaign, and they did nothing about it.
Earlier this week, Solomon covered Democrat Senator Adam Schiff personally approving the leaking of classified information in order to frame President Donald Trump as an alleged Russian colluder. This is just one of many examples that confirms for us that Operation Mockingbird is still very much underway. And let's not pretend that alleged right-wing outlets like Fox News are necessarily immune from this either. We're not saying this story is false at all. Obviously, we have information that is being presented to the public here. We're simply saying that these tactics are used on all sides. What was once thought to be a tactic reserved for the left is now blurred between both aisles. And the tactic is to either feed you manufactured news or sometimes the truth in order to confirm your bias and keep you cheering on what you think is your team. What we would suggest, as with everything you see, hear, and read these days, is to do your own research, another term that has been mocked quite significantly in the past, and trust your eyes, ears, and instincts rather than the talking heads.